Welcome to ATL, or 21st Century Skills for Student Success in a Post-Pandemic World. Bit of a mouthful as a title, I know, but it's hard to come up with a title that covers every single student in every single school in the world. I've been teaching these skills for 25 years, and over 250,000 students in 37 countries have been through my courses. And I can say from all my experience that absolutely for sure every single student can improve their performance at school academically, socially and emotionally simply by learning some key skills of the processes of thinking and learning. Whether you call these skills ATL skills if you're in an IB context, or whether you call them 21st century skills or 21st century competencies, doesn't matter. They're the same skills. They're the skills that underpin success for every student across the world. And I think there has never ever been a greater need for these skills than now in a post-pandemic world. Take a look at the situation worldwide right now. In the present situation, there are lots of estimates, but the best one I can find, the most accurate I think, is that approximately 825 million students are affected by school closures. That's as of January this year, 2021. That stress, anxiety, loneliness and depression of both students and teachers is at record high levels. And there's been estimates that that most students, when they complete this school year, the 2020 to 2021 year, the best estimates say that most students will have lost approximately 1/3 of their schooling through not being able to attend directly and get that direct interaction with teachers. And the estimates show that the loss of 1/3 of 1 year of schooling will produce a depression in future GDP of about 1.5% lower than normal, which in the USA alone will result in a $15.3 trillion loss effect on the future economy. Now that's a significant loss. I'm not saying that economic losses are the most important measure that we have for the problems resulting from the COVID pandemic, but they're one way of measuring it. So this pandemic will have had serious effects. And simply because millions and millions of students have been learning online, and learning online has not been, I imagine, as effective as learning directly from teachers. Certainly for some students it has. Some students have thrived in the remote learning environment, but the majority have not. And the students that have thrived, of course, are those who are always seeking independence, of those who can research well, who can think well for themselves, who can organise themselves well, who can manage their own learning brilliantly. They are the ones with the best skills of remote self-management. And those are the skills that we could teach to every single student. And if we did, then all students' performances would improve. And hopefully that would then compensate for the losses of understanding and the losses of contact with teachers that most students are suffering right now. I think the lessons of COVID-19 that all schools everywhere in the world need to learn, they're all pretty obvious, is that teachers obviously need comprehensive training in the design of engaging independent remote learning lessons. That teachers need to be familiar with every digital platform that teaches their subject, whether they are subject-centered platforms or whether they are process platforms or whether, like mine, they are skills platforms. Teachers need to be familiar with every platform, both the free and the paid platforms, of course. And schools need to be investing in all the paid platforms. But I guess most importantly from my point of view is that I think that all students need training in all the skills they need to become effective, successful, remote, self-managed learners. And that's what I want to help you with today. So just think for a minute. What is the purpose of any ATL skills or 21st century skills program? To me, the single purpose is to develop self-managed learners. Students who can learn by themselves, for themselves, who can utilize all the best resources available, connect with their peers and learn brilliantly without necessarily connecting with the teacher. To me, this is the key skill for a post-pandemic world. And how are we going to get students to that point? Well, first we've got to train them. We've got to teach them all the key skills, a full curriculum of ATL or 21st century skills. Then we've got to make sure that they are using those skills in all their school subjects with lots of independent learning and self-managed projects. And then also I think it would pay to have self-management a measurable goal for formative feedback. If teachers were giving students feedback on a regular basis on how well they're managing their own learning, that would then become something for students to strive for, to achieve. Because you've got to think, I mean, in a normal school class, if schools were totally back to normal again, in your average school classroom, what do students actually have control over? Because what we're trying to do with ATL skills and 21st century skills is to help students realise that there are some things in any learning situation that they do actually have control over. Just consider, at school, do they have control over what they're taught? Well, no, and I imagine that what they're taught, the amount of material they have to get through hasn't actually changed even in a COVID remote learning environment. Where they're taught, well, I guess that has changed a little bit, hasn't it? So they're learning more at home, they're learning on their bed, they're learning at the kitchen table, they're learning in different places, as well as, if they're very lucky, getting back to school at some times. When they're taught, well, I guess if teachers are recording sessions and delivering them online to students, then the when they are taught actually has got some flexibility in it at the moment. How they're taught. The how they're taught isn't really in the student's control, is it? Who sets the tests and exams? That's not in a student's control. Who marks the tests and exams? Most of these factors in a conventional educational environment are not in a student's control. But of course there are two things that are in students' control. One is how much effort they put in, obviously. And as teachers, we are always trying to get students to put in the maximum effort possible. But the other thing, which I think is considerably more important, is the way in which they use that effort, the strategies they use for things like managing their time and their tasks, organising themselves, developing self-motivation, persistence and perseverance, staying on task, strategies for concentration, how to form digital collaborations and set up study groups to support each other, how to research well, how to verify, validate, compare and contrast information and data to make sure they've got the best possible information, how to make summary notes from video, from podcasts, from text, from books, from all online sources. That's got to be a key skill. How to design and present good quality evidence-based arguments. Now these are just some of the key skills, but if we trained students in all those skills, then they would actually have control of some of the most important aspects of success at school, both socially, emotionally and academically. And to me, any ATL or 21st century skills program is all about focusing students on factors to improve success that are in their control, with the aim of developing successful self-managed learners. And why do we need students to develop into effective self-managed learners? Well, it's not only to help them succeed in a COVID and post-COVID environment, it's also to help them succeed in the future world of work. Now, it has been shown many, many times over the last 25 years that the skills needed for the future are quite different for the skills needed for employment in the past. If you have a look at this graph, which is from the United States, of changes in the skills needed for employment between 1960 and 2009, and if you look at the skills that are trending down, they are routine and non-routine manual work, well, that's fairly obvious, isn't it? And also routine cognitive work. That is thinking work, but where the thinking doesn't particularly change day by day. And the skill areas that are trending up are non-routine interpersonal and non-routine cognitive tasks. In other words, jobs that require thinking, but where the thinking changes every day, where critical analysis, critical thinking, problem solving, and being able to work with different groups of people on different tasks daily are going to be the key skill set. Now this is of course driven in some respect by advances in robotics. Let me just show you a quick little clip here. Amazing, isn't it? Did you realize that robotics was that advanced? It's obvious that robot labour will replace human labour across the world in many, many physical tasks, and the effect will be different depending on the country, as you can see from the chart next to me here. Now, I've been surveying reports on employment trends for the future, and they mostly back up that particular prediction. And these are the latest trends that I've been able to find. And this is that back in 2018, the McKinsey Institute predicted that 50% of current work activities were technically able to be automated. And so many, many tasks will be automated. But that's not actually the biggest trend that people are predicting. The biggest trend is more to do with integration of technology with present occupations and the inclusion of AI taking over large parts of decision making in many industries. But the other trend is towards remote working, where people working from home. So the World Economic Forum survey, just out quite recently, showed that 84% of employers were planning on digitising working processes, building things like AI and other technical systems into average person's work, and 44% of the workforce was expected to be operating remotely by 2025. So a downsizing of the on-site workers and allowing more and more people to work independently, to work from home. And of course, what are the key skills that people who need to work from home are? They're the same skills, aren't they? The skills of self-managed learning and the same as the skills of self-managed working, aren't they? And 94% of present employees do expect people to pick up any new skills on the job rather than going out to training to actually pick them up. And obviously much of that training will be online. Once again, the ability to learn in a remote fashion is going to be very, very crucial. Google has predicted from their surveys that 91% of CEOs were strengthening soft skill training alongside digital skills. The soft skills, the skills of emotional intelligence, the skills of empathy, the skills of communication, the skills of collaboration, the skills of persistence and perseverance, all those affective or character skills. These are becoming more and more employable skills. And Deloitte have reinforced this by saying that soft skill intensive occupations they think will increase to 63% of all occupations by 2030. And they're talking about lifelong learning becoming the culture of organisations, with 80% of CEOs supporting that trend. Now, these are important trends which all seem to focus on the kinds of skills that I'm talking about and, of course, the overall skills of becoming a self-managed learner. Here are the top skills for 2025 from the World Economic Forum. I'll show you this in full screen. So what we've got here is analytical thinking and innovation. We've got active learning and learning strategies. Now those are all the learning skills I'm talking about when I'm talking about becoming a self-managed learner. But then there's other thinking skills like complex problem solving, critical thinking, creativity, originality. And then again there's skills like leadership, which is a communication and collaboration skill. There are technical skills, technology use and technology design. And then there's the deep core character skills like resilience, stress tolerance and flexibility. And then another one which is in reasoning, problem solving and ideation. And one of the interesting things that the Economic Forum also found was that in terms of perceived barriers to the adoption of new technologies, look at the first one there, the skill gaps in the local labour market. Was 56% of the perceived barrier to adoption of new technologies. And this is critically important because it is helping our students today to gain the skills they need to overcome the skills gaps in the labour market, which is critically important for all students today. And this is why there's been so many publications on what are the most important skills for our future. And if you look down this list here, I've just got a list of some of the most current or most recent publications in different countries showing the skills that they believe are going to be critically important in their country. And if you read any of them, you'll see that it's the same general set of what I'm calling ATL or 21st century skills or competencies occur in every single country. It's summed up well, I think, by Andreas Schleicher of the OECD, who said that the world economy no longer rewards people just for what they know. The world economy rewards people for what they can do with what they know. It's the doing that is becoming equally important with the knowing. It's not enough just to know, just to have a great body of knowledge. It's all about application, which is all about links to technology and all about working digitally. This is recognised by most countries now in their curriculum framework. I won't show you these in great detail, but in Australia they have seven general capabilities which include all the 21st century skills. In Finland they call them transversal competencies and they're built into the curriculum. Ireland has them in as key skills for people and for technology. Japan has them as sections in terms of a section on what to learn and a section on how to learn. Mexico has all these skills built into their curriculum. In New Zealand we have what we call the key competencies for learning, which are the same set of skills. Wales has them in their framework. Canada, various states are different in Canada, but this is a framework being produced in the Ontario area of Canada, which is the 7 C's called Shifting Minds. I think it's fascinating. It's creativity and innovation, critical thinking, collaboration, communication, character, culture and ethical citizenship, and computer and digital technologies. Same set of skills again. In the USA, in the Common Core State Standards and the thinking skills, there is this set of skills, which you can see, critical, creative, comprehensive, collaborative, communicative, all set as thinking skills, but they're once again the same set of skills. Argentina has them in their curriculum. Kazakhstan has them in theirs. Hong Kong has them in theirs in their learning to learn school curriculum. India has these competencies in their curriculum. Singapore has them as the 21st century competencies framework. In Vietnam they are in there as 21st century competencies. In China we have the skills of self-management and learning to learn. Also bigger organisations like the Council of Europe has produced competencies for democratic culture. The European Commission competencies for lifelong learning. The UNESCO has a global citizenship framework. I'm skipping through them really quickly because you can find them online if you wish, and they're all pretty much the same. I'm just trying to show you that most countries and most organisations are thinking along the lines of 21st century skills and competencies right now. This is probably the most recent and probably one of the most complex frameworks, which is from the OECD, what they call their learning compass, which includes skills, knowledge and attitudes and attributes in their framework. Of course, different schools have adopted these as well. In an IB school, they have their approaches to learning program, which is ATL. You can see this, the frameworks across programs. And I have been very much involved with helping to produce the ATL frameworks for the IB and have spent a lot of my time in the last 10 years working with IB schools. But it's not just IB schools any longer. If you have a Cambridge school, Cambridge Examination Centre has now produced the learning attributes for GCSE, AS and A-level students, which are confident, responsible, reflective, innovative and engaged. And if you connect those with 21st century skills, then the skills necessary to produce those attributes are once again that comprehensive framework of 21st century skills. So it seems to me that we could sum all this up by saying that the aim and purpose of any 21st century skills or ATL skills program can be divided up like this. It seems to me the aim for teachers is to give students control over their own academic, social and emotional success by teaching them the skills that underpin all those aspects of their success at school. And we do it by giving students mastery of all the skills underpinning the development of knowledge, understanding, character and the self-management of learning. And the purpose then for schools and for parents has got to be to give students training in all the skills they need to take maximum advantage of every career and learning opportunity in their future. So it seems to me that helping students to become successful, self-managed learners needs to be a top priority for the 2021 to 2022 years. So what are those particular skills? Well, I think it starts with time and task management. Obviously, they've got to learn how to organise their time and get the tasks that are needed done. Self-motivation then comes into play, doesn't it? How to overcome procrastination, how to generate urgency, how to persevere, how to concentrate, how to deal with distractions, how to keep focus for the time necessary to complete tasks. They've also got to know how to set up their home study environment so that everything works for them and they've eliminated as many distractions as possible. They've got to know how to set up and maintain good, effective online digital collaborations with other students, and also how to set up study groups to support each other in their learning, especially in the remote context. How to write goals, set goals, and achieve goals. Goal setting is something that's often dealt with in a very trivial way, but goal setting is not the same as goal achieving, and I think that all students need to have a rigorous training in how to achieve the goals that they want to achieve. Then self-assessment has got to be much more important in a remote learning or in a post-pandemic environment than ever before. How to assess the quality of your own output has got to be an absolutely key skill for self-managed learning. And of course, how to learn from your mistakes and how to fail well. Research skills, effective searching and researching, how to choose the appropriate media, how to compare and contrast media from the point of view of perspective and bias, and how to recognise and utilise well IP rights, referencing and creating bibliographies and looking after copyright. How to summarise key points from all forms of media, from visual media, from text, from messages, from podcasts, from every single source of information. Students have got to learn how to summarise, how to pull out the key points from every form of information that's presented to them, and how to develop good evidence-based arguments, which has got to be the essential skill for most subjects, and then how to deliver those arguments back in a multimedia presentation for assessment purposes or just to inform other students. So these to me seem to be the absolutely key skills for self-managed learning, and in particular remote successful self-managed learning. I have this framework of skills available for you as a spreadsheet that you can access on my website. You'll probably notice the color coding there, the green, the pink and the blue, and it's the same in the previous list. The reason for this is just to try and separate skills out a little bit. I tend to code the green skills as being my cognitive skills, the active information processing and retrieval strategies like note making, listening, time management, questioning, researching, etc. I code in pink the affective, or what is known as character skills. These are the skills that enable students to gain some control over mood, motivation and attitude. Things like self-motivation, perseverance, resilience, emotional management. And then the blue are the metacognitive skills, the thinking about their thinking, the learning about their learning, the assessing themselves, the recognizing the quality of their own output and judging that and putting in place strategies to improve that. So this is the system that I put in place, and this is now available to you on spreadsheets, which you can find on my personal website. You go to www.taolearn.com, daolearn.com, you go to the ATL resources page, and you look at the process skills frameworks for use with LALATAT.com. And what I'm introducing here at this point is the word process skills, because rather than have that clumsy nomenclature around ATL/21st century skills or competencies, which is very, very clumsy, from now on in this presentation I'm going to use the word process skills to mean ATL skills, to mean 21st century skills, to mean 21st century competencies. It just seems to me a more simpler, more elegant system to use. So you'll be looking for this particular aspect of our work. You'll be looking for the core skills for remote self-managed learning spreadsheet. There are also 4 other spreadsheets available that you're welcome to access. But it's the core skills I want to show you, because this is what we have now digitized on our LALATAT platform. LALATAT stands for Learning About Learning and Thinking About Thinking, and it's available at lalatat.com. And if you go to lalatat.com, the website looks about like this, and you see right there in the middle, there is the access the free remote learning portal. Now this is what I'm interested in you accessing. This is what I'm interested in helping you plan out into a program for your own students. So the icon looks like this, and I'm going to take you to that site now and show you exactly what I mean by utilizing our free LALATAT remote learning portal for the skills of self-managed learning for all of your students. So once you've been to lalatat.com and got your tokens, you will be redirected to LALATAT Online, and you'll open up this portal. This is what we call the Core Skills for Remote Self-Managed Learning portal, and it looks like this. Now you notice we've got all the different categories of skills there: organisation, study skills, character skills, metacognitive skills, language skills, media skills, group skills, research skills, and critical thinking skills. And inside each there is a list of different strands. Now these are collapsible, so you can collapse these and go right back up to here, and you'll be able to see all the different skills in operation. Now keep in mind, these are skills for students or parents or teachers to complete, but essentially they're exercises for students to do to gain the skills of remote self-managed learning. So in other words, what they do is they then click on a particular skill strand that they're interested in looking at. So let's say they're interested in looking at time and task management, and this is how it opens up. There's the title, there's a mastery statement, there's a discussion, and then there's exercises to complete. I've actually completed this one already as if I was a student. So this asks the student to outline all the tasks they've got up for a week in advance, and then to do an analysis based on each task's importance and its urgency, where its importance is how significant it is for the student, and its urgency is how significant it is for someone other than the student. And they allocate these ticks on these boxes here, as you can see, and then they get automatically transferred into this framework here. There's a discussion about the framework, and then there's another exercise on how to reduce pressure and stress by taking strategic action. There's also another exercise on managing assignments to reduce stress, and there's another exercise on getting subject deadlines organized. And these tables, all these tables expand as far as you like to incorporate all the data you like. And there's a last exercise on making to-do lists. This little arrow up here takes a person back to the table of contents, and that can be expanded and shrunk as necessary. A couple of things to notice is that all these skills are available in 5 languages: Vietnamese, Chinese, French and Spanish. So we can change just like this to Chinese. We can go back into here again. We can look at the same exercise in Chinese this time, and at any time within that exercise you can actually click down here and go back again to English, or you could go to French or any other language. It's very, very easy to use. So going back to where we were, there's a couple of other things to show you. If you go up here, these 3 dots take you to the feedback. If you find any problems with any of the translations or anything that you'd like to tell us about, you can do that. But another place you can go is the help library, and the help library has got introductory documents, but it's also got a selection of videos. There's videos that I've produced introducing students to the full LALATAT platform. We've got some short clips showing students how to use specific LALATAT exercises, how to do page navigation, how to use the help library, some information for LALATAT for teachers, for students, for schools, for parents, and the all-important LALATAT assessment. We have our own self-assessment system that you can learn about there. And then if you click on Learning and Teaching, you'll get small video clips. These are all just 1 or 2 minutes long, which show you how to utilize LALATAT to do all these different things like design and deliver presentations, write business reports, write scientific reports, overcome procrastination, etc., etc. One last thing to show you is that this particular portal, the Core Skills for Remote Self-Managed Learning, is a selection of exercises that we are offering to the education community absolutely for free to help students to cope with the COVID and post-pandemic environment. But it is a selection out of a much larger framework of portals. If I look over here, you'll see that we actually have many other portals of exercises. We've got a LALATAT Junior School and a LALATAT Senior School portal. We've got an MYP ATL and a DP ATL portal. We've got Cambridge GCSE, IGCSE and Cambridge AS and A-level portals. We've got some made for specific international schools. We've got a Chinese national curriculum for junior school and Chinese national curriculum for senior school portal. We've got the same for the New Zealand national curriculum, and we've got the same for the Vietnamese national curriculum. So all of these are available, but these are the larger framework, which is a paid provision that we have made. So if you're interested in that, you can also go to the website and get a free 1-month trial of the full LALATAT framework, and you can do that at any time. So I hope that's useful for you. I'll take us back to the self-managed learning portal, which is here, the remote learning portal. And this is the one that I want to show you how to use, how to develop, and how to create your own self-managed learning program at your own school from. Okay, so that's an introduction to LALATAT. I hope you enjoyed it. You could go right now to lalatat.com and you could sign up for the free remote learning portal for yourself and your students. So I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for attending. Bye.